Yellowstone just foreshadowed Kayce's death. Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 12 may have just foreshadowed the death of Kayce Dutton. Luke Grimes' character was mostly separated from the main conflicts of the Dutton Ranch throughout the show's run. In Taylor Sheridan's neo-Western hit, Kayce's affairs were primarily linked to his own family, Monica and Tate, and his personal woes. That changed, however, in Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2, after John Dutton III unexpectedly died. While Kayce was initially convinced that his father killed himself, conversations with his sister, Beth, eventually changed his mind about how he died. This sets up his multi-episode final arc in Yellowstone. Kayce has been silently working on clearing his father's death case for a couple of episodes now. In Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2, he has reached out to former colleagues and tapped into his connections in Montana to make sure that the truth will come out about John's murder in the governor's home. This is an interesting switch with Beth, who has been mainly focused on dealing with what has been going on at the ranch. As entertaining as it is to see him actually being more involved, it could also mean that the end is near for Kayce. In Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 12, Counting Coup, Kayce is at the forefront of the storytelling, although he is operating essentially without the knowledge of people in his inner circle. Before he goes out and seeks the man who set up the hit on John, he is briefly involved in the affairs at home after Colby's freak accident in Yellowstone. One of Rip's most loyal cowboys died after he came to Carter's rescue from an unstable horse. Kayce and Tate help by disposing of the body of the corpse at a makeshift cemetery within the property's borders. Just as they are leaving the area, Tate asks about funeral plans. His dad answers in reference to John's death by confirming that the Dutton patriarch will be buried there next to his mom. However, Tate makes it clear that he is asking about his dad and where Kayce's final resting place will be. John's youngest son, while clearly uncomfortable with the conversation, reveals that he wants to be buried near Tate and Monica, wherever that is. The conversation may seem like a random conversation, but considering all the deaths in Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 thus far, it's difficult to not read into it as Kayce's instructions if he ends up dying throughout this ordeal. Sheridan could have focused on John's demise and upcoming funeral, but the shift in their topic to Kayce's future demise, given how young, healthy, and strong he still is, when Tate asks about it, is ominous enough. For what it's worth, it isn't difficult to imagine something bad happening to Kayce because of his new purpose. Tate and Kayce's conversation over at the Dutton family ranch's informal cemetery isn't the only thing from Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 12 that potentially foreshadows his death. As the father and son walk away back to the house, the camera pans to the tomb of Evelyn Dutton, the family's matriarch who died years before the events of Yellowstone. Through flashbacks, it was revealed that she died after falling from a horse. Understandably, it was a tragic time for the family, but given everything that has happened in the last few years, the show hasn't revisited her existence, until Kayce and Tate's conversation naturally allows for Evelyn's tomb to be featured. Yellowstone Season 5, Episode 12 lingering on it could be a foreshadowing of another Dutton tragedy in the making. The character has never really been fleshed out in the show because she was already gone when the series started, but based on the flashbacks and what's known about her, Evelyn had a special connection to Kayce. Seeing her tomb may be a reminder that, sooner rather than later, they can be reunited in afterlife. Given Kayce's complicated relationship with his dad, he typically stays out of the way when it comes to family drama. He wasn't even involved in the intense war between Jamie and Beth, as he was able to maintain some kind of relationship with his adopted brother. That said, John's murder has really pushed him down a path of revenge that he may never be able to come back from again. Granted his training, knowledge, and capabilities, he is able to carry out this dangerous mission to get retribution for his father's demise. That being said, it also comes with risks, especially since he's operating mainly on his own. While Beth deals with Jamie, even though he wasn't really part of the planning of John's killing, Kayce is dealing with far more dangerous people, hired goons backed up by clearly rich people who were bold enough to order a hit on the governor of Montana. At this point, It seems like Kayce is so committed to his cause that he really does not care if it means sacrificing his life as long as he knows he can get justice for his dad's murder. There has been no shortage of Dutton family tragedy in the last few years of Yellowstone. Kevin Costner's exit before the show is finished leads to Sheridan killing the character, which is, arguably, still the biggest loss in the show, considering how much it affected the rest of the family's fates. Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2's flashbacks show what life could have been like if John lived. Because Yellowstone never shies away from a big death, and it was able to pull off its most significant one quite impressively, it is within the realm of possibility that Kayce will see his end when Yellowstone wraps up. In terms of the narrative, it gives the show the final emotional punch, since he is leaving a wife and a son who adore him. Losing Kayce will also make Beth and Jamie's upcoming face-off so much more intense. The Dutton family has always been a whirlwind of drama, loyalty, betrayal, and sacrifice. The sprawling Montana ranch serves as both a haven and a battleground, a place where love and death are inextricably intertwined. Yet, amidst the chaos of Yellowstone's gripping storyline, the foreshadowing of Kayce Dutton's death looms heavily, a storm cloud that refuses to dissipate. Kayce, played masterfully by Luke Grimes, has long been the heart of Yellowstone. His inner conflict between his family obligations and his moral compass has created a dynamic character that viewers can't help but root for. But as Season 5 unfolds, the writing seems to be on the wall, and it points toward an inevitable, devastating conclusion. The dreams that haunt him. Kayce's spiritual journey has been a central theme in the series, and his visions often serve as harbingers of future events. In the early episodes of Season 5, his chilling vision of a path has been a recurring motif. When he confessed to Monica that he saw two roads, and neither led to a future he wanted, it was clear that his choices would have grave consequences. More than just cryptic messages, they are a mirror of Kayce's soul. His connection to the land, the animals, and his Native American heritage has always made him more attuned to the spiritual realm. But this heightened awareness comes with a price. The vision of the wolf, a recurring symbol in Kayce's life, has taken on an ominous tone. Traditionally a guide or protector, the wolf now seems to be leading him toward his doom. The weight of sacrifice. In the world of Yellowstone, loyalty to the family often demands blood. Kayce has already paid a heavy price for his loyalty to John Dutton and the ranch. He's killed to protect his family and has grappled with the moral fallout of those actions. Yet, despite his sacrifices, he remains caught in the crossfire of his father's unrelenting quest to preserve the Dutton legacy. John's iron grip on the ranch has always been both a blessing and a curse. While his determination to protect the land is admirable, it often comes at the expense of his children's well-being. Kayce, more than anyone, has borne the brunt of this. His constant struggle to balance his role as a father, husband, and son has left him vulnerable, and it's this vulnerability that might seal his fate. Foreshadowing in relationships. Kayce's relationship with Monica has been a roller coaster, marked by love, loss, and resilience. However, their most recent tragedy, the loss of their second son, has left a shadow over their marriage. Monica's grief is palpable, and while Kayce tries to be her anchor, he is drowning in his own guilt and pain. In one heart-wrenching scene, Monica tells Kayce, "I don't want to lose you too." The moment, fraught with emotion, feels like a chilling prelude to what's to come. Her words resonate as a desperate plea and a forewarning, underscoring the fragility of their happiness. Enemies lurking in the shadows. The Duttons have no shortage of enemies. From corporate developers to rival ranchers, the threats to their land and lives are constant. But in Season 5, the danger feels more personal and immediate. Kayce's role as a livestock commissioner has placed him directly in the line of fire, and his decisions have made him a target. One particularly foreboding subplot involves the Beck brothers' associates, who have not forgotten the Duttons' role in their downfall. The vendettas in Yellowstone rarely end cleanly, and the simmering tension suggests that Kayce might be the one to pay the ultimate price for his family's actions. The tragic hero archetype. Kayce embodies the archetype of the tragic hero. His journey is one of redemption and self-discovery, but it is also riddled with mistakes and consequences. In many ways, his story mirrors that of the ranch itself, a beautiful, untamed force fighting against inevitable change. Taylor Sheridan, the creator of Yellowstone, has a penchant for crafting narratives that are as gut-wrenching as they are compelling. His characters often face brutal ends, and Kayce seems poised to follow this trajectory. Sheridan's storytelling thrives on the juxtaposition of beauty and brutality, and Kayce's death would be the ultimate embodiment of this theme.